Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Michael Nunez, Deputy Tech Editor at Mashable, and this is Technically Speaking. First up, the new iPhone XR reviews are finally out, and the consensus seems to be that this is the best iPhone for most people. The iPhone XR starts at $750, which is significantly cheaper than the $1,000 iPhone XS. And the cheaper XR has an LCD screen, which is inferior to the OLED screen you'll find in the iPhone XS. But most people probably won't notice the difference at first glance. The single lens camera in the XR is also slightly less capable than the dual lens camera in the iPhone XS, but it's another difference that most untrained eyes won't see. But all of this considered, what really stood out to me is that the iPhone XR can produce portrait mode photos that have that bokeh effect, which basically keeps the subject in focus while it gently blurs the background. Mashable senior tech correspondent Ray Wong said in our review that for once, the cheaper iPhone is the better choice. I'm going to be speaking with him later today, and we'll go over all there is to know about the brand new iPhone. Next up, Amazon is opening its first cashierless payment store in New York City, and it's set to be located directly across from the World Trade Center in Brookfield Place. And for those that might not live in New York, Brookfield Place is currently home to a lot of upscale retailers like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Saks Fifth Avenue, Tory Burch, Michael Kors, etc., etc. But what makes this announcement so special is that New York currently has an Amazon bookstore. It currently has an Amazon 4-star store, but it does not have the company's futuristic cashierless Amazon Go stores yet. The company currently has 3 Amazon Go locations in Seattle and 2 in Chicago, and there's another one coming in San Francisco, and I think there's an additional one coming to Chicago, so a third one, but this will be the first to hit New York City. For the uninitiated, Amazon Go stores use a combination of sensors, cameras, and computer vision to automatically charge customers for items they pick up in the store and leave with. So there is no need for customers to stop at a register and pay. The fact that Amazon is launching one of these cashierless stores in such a populated area in New York City shows just how powerful their image recognition systems have become. The store will likely track hundreds of people as they shop, which is an incredible technological feat. And if it means avoiding those long lines that you have to wait in all around the World Trade Center, I am all for it. And finally, the U.S. Department of Justice brought its first criminal case over alleged Russian interference in the 2018 midterm elections. Elena Kusianova, a 44-year-old accountant from St. Petersburg, was charged in a criminal complaint for being part of an, quote, information warfare campaign designed to sow political discord in both the 2016 presidential election and the upcoming 2018 midterms. The charge signals that U.S. law enforcement is not letting up on its efforts to investigate foreign interference from places such as Russia, China, and Iran. The bigger question it raises, though, is whether tech companies like Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Google are doing enough to combat these efforts. Okay, so joining me to talk a little bit more about how tech companies are fighting against foreign interference in upcoming elections is Mashable tech correspondent Matt Binder. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. So I wanted to, I actually wanted to bring you on because you've written a lot about both politics and technology and how the two are slowly converging. And the most obvious place where this is happening is in what's been called election hacking, I guess, which is kind of a broad term. So can you just kind of tell people where we're at in 2018 leading up to the midterms and why people won't stop talking about election hacking? What is that? What does it mean? And what should people be most concerned about?
Right. Well, let's bring up the midterms coming up first.
Yeah.
Comparatively to 2016, when really what we saw was a ramping up of this sort of disinformation campaign from foreign agents, really, to sort of sway the election one way as opposed to another. Now the social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter are taking it a lot more seriously. If you'll remember, right after the 2016 election and Donald Trump winning the presidency, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg was floored by the idea that Facebook in any way would have swayed anybody's vote and just couldn't come to terms with it. And then less than a year later, he comes out and says how the company's got to do some real soul searching, I guess you can say, and sort of take action against this stuff because he realized just how much of a role Facebook played in sort of spreading this foreign propaganda.
Right. And so just to be clear, so in the week after the election in 2016, Mark Zuckerberg was asked whether he thought Facebook played a role in the final outcome, in Donald Trump winning the presidency. And what he said was that, quote, he thought it was a pretty crazy idea that Facebook in any way played a part in the final outcome of the election. Meanwhile, Facebook's advertising side was actively promoting the fact that they could influence elections. You know, they were working very closely with campaigns from both Republicans and Democrats. I think Ted Cruz is one that comes to mind. But Bernie Sanders, I think, was also a prominent role player on Facebook. And so they quickly changed their tune as more information came out about Facebook's role in the election, primarily the Cambridge Analytica scandal. I feel like that was a major milestone and big turning point in the conversation around this. So can you kind of tell people why Cambridge Analytica was such a big deal and how that has affected things moving forward?
Right. Well, as opposed to, the Russian intelligence agencies using like troll farms and agents pretending to run certain pages that were sort of presented as legitimate, alternative U.S.-based news sites when they really weren't. Cambridge Analytica was a legit company in the UK that had a working relationship with Facebook. Facebook was very aware of who they were. They had given them access that obviously they did not give to someone running a random Facebook page from Russia. And Cambridge Analytica went around and took this data that they were able to get from Facebook, and they used it in ways that Facebook did not want them to use it. They had specific.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think it was explicitly. So when the Cambridge Analytica thing happened, Cambridge Analytica used Facebook exactly as it was meant to be used, I think. So they were siphoning data off from the network, but in many ways, Facebook enabled developers to lift that information pretty easily. Isn't that true?
Right. Facebook had like a policy where you couldn't use it in that way, but that data was offered to them.
Right.
They didn't do a workaround to get that data, but they were taking the data and off-site and using it in ways that Facebook really didn't.
Did they discourage?
Yes.
And so inevitably, the Cambridge Analytica scandal essentially meant that politicians could micro-target users and using psychographic profiling. So they took a data set and they determined, okay, people that are fearful or people that are anxious about certain political issues might be more likely to respond to certain content, and they would advertise political campaigns around this psychographic profiling. So basically, they had a sense of what people were more likely to respond to and what they weren't, and this company was promoting itself as someone that could sway elections, right?
And you have to understand just how crazy this sort of micro-targeting is.
Yeah.
Like, the Trump campaign says they were able to specifically target people from a specific town in a specific swing state that they were able to tell from the data would be susceptible to certain messaging that the Trump campaign was pushing.
Right. And so just to be clear, though, there has been no connection made between Cambridge Analytica and the Trump campaign.
Right.
Is maybe the key qualifier there.
Right.
But so we don't know that Cambridge Analytica was working with Russian operatives. We do not know that they were working with the Trump campaign. However, what it showed was that there was the possibility of micro-targeting voters in various countries around the world, and that this company was basically built to help sway elections. And there was undercover video that was recorded of some of the company owners. There was a lot of documentation that was provided for what services they were providing, and so that ultimately led to Mark Zuckerberg showing up in front of Congress, Jack Dorsey showing up in front of Congress, and Sheryl Sandberg as well from Facebook showing up in front of Congress. In fact, the only company that really managed to avoid this was Google, whose CEO has promised that he will show up in front of Congress after the midterm elections, but he still has not shown up. And then also, you wrote a really interesting piece about Reddit and Reddit's role in spreading this misinformation and how it's being used by foreign operatives. So can you lightly touch on that for
Yeah,
people?
sure. Reddit, when all this was coming about Facebook and Twitter and Google, Reddit came out and they offered up their own internal investigation that basically showed that they too uncovered this sort of Russian operation running on their website that was pushing disinformation, specifically surrounding the 2016 election. And what they sort of were able to, not everyone really is familiar with Reddit. It's the fifth most trafficked website in the United States, according to Alexa. But are your parents familiar with Reddit, Mike?
They are not.
There you go. So without that sort of broader role
Mainstream
in
appeal.
society, right? Reddit sort of flies under the radar. But I think that Reddit is certainly capable of going in front of Congress, just like these other companies, being that they do have this sort of far wide-ranging reach, especially among a younger generation who is absolutely familiar with them and probably would put them right up there with Facebook and Twitter.
So you're basically saying that these communities on Reddit are pretty powerful and misinformation can spread easily on that network, right?
Right, and in Reddit's own investigation that they put out and made public, some of these accounts that they say were run by Russian intelligence agents, some of these accounts had far wider reach than so many of the Twitter accounts that we've seen talked about in the mainstream.
Right, because Twitter is actively removing some of these accounts associated with foreign interference campaigns. And so what Matt was saying in his article, and you can go check this out on mashable.com, is that Reddit was one of the few companies that avoided being called to testify in front of Congress. So while Facebook, Google, and who am I forgetting? Facebook, Google, and Twitter were all asked to send executives to speak in front of Congress. Reddit somehow managed to skirt that.
And one additional addendum to that.
Yeah.
Reddit's internal investigation that sort of discovered these sort of accounts and removed them. This happened well before a lot of this became like a subject of the media's attention.
Right.
A lot of these Reddit accounts they had removed actually in the lead up to the 2016 election as early as 2015. So they didn't make any of this known until people started looking into this stuff because of the issues with Facebook and Twitter.
Right. So we should probably wrap it up. But Matt, why don't you tell people how can they protect against these misinformation campaigns? Is there anything that they can do to make sure that they're getting good information? And also, is this something that we have to worry about for the through the election? Is this a big thing? Is it going to go away anytime soon?
It's not going away. This is life as we know it now, Mike. I mean, but this sort of thing has always been around. Basically, what's going on here is people spreading propaganda to try to sway elections and policy in ways that are beneficial to them. In this case, Russia. There's been Iranian involvement. We've seen just recently. I covered a pro-Saudi Twitter campaign to try to sway things with what's going on over there. And it's really just something that people are going to have to get used to.
Right.
And really, the best way to fight against it is to make sure that the news you're reading is legitimate. Sources that are known for covering the news and actually covering it with sourcing and being truthful. It's really that simple.
So there you have it. If you are trying to protect yourself against any misinformation, why not just go to directly to a newspaper's website or some reputable news site, or going directly to their website rather than going to Facebook and Twitter and just trusting everything that you see in their feeds. We have articles that suggest this and much more on mashable.com. We hope that you go check those out. Matt,
trustworthy news source right there.
Yes, we are. Any final thoughts?
That's it. Vote.
Okay, so here to tell us a little bit about the iPhone XR is Mashable's senior tech correspondent, Ray Wong, who actually spent a great deal of time messing around with the iPhone XR. So, Ray,
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Ray. Oh, my God. I haven't seen you in a really long time. Welcome.
It's been such a long time.
It has. For reference, we sit literally right across from each other, right outside in the newsroom out there. You spent a long time messing around with this iPhone XR. What can you tell people about this phone?
This phone, right?
Yes.
You're speechless. You're speechless.
Yeah, wow. It is
yeah,
beautiful.
so I've had the iPhone XR. This is the new XR. This is the cheaper iPhone. It starts at $750, so you don't have to spend $1,000 to buy the iPhone XS or the XS Max. Very similar features. You get the full edge-to-edge display. The border or bezel is a little thicker. The materials are a little bit different. It's made out of aluminum instead of stainless steel. But otherwise, I think you're getting a great value here. I really like the iPhone.
Yeah, it seems like the consensus for this one was that for once, the cheapest iPhone is now, or I guess it's not the cheapest, but it's a cheaper version of the iPhone.
It's the cheapest new iPhone.
It's the cheapest new iPhone, right? Because yeah, I guess you're saving about $300 at base price between
250
this.
bucks.
250.
Yeah.
Okay, between this, which is the iPhone XR, and the more expensive one, which is the iPhone XS.
Right. So, I mean, the differences are really subtle.
Yeah, can you walk us through some of the key differences here?
Again, the differences are obviously you got that bezel, thicker bezel around the display. You got the different metal materials. And also the display is... I almost kissed the mic there. The display is a different technology. So it's like LCD instead of the OLED. So there are some benefits to OLED on the iPhone XS and XS Max, which is like darker blacks. So truly black colors. More vibrant and wider dynamic range. And yeah, I mean, higher resolution. But like in day-to-day, I don't think most people will notice the difference, you know? Like I'm looking at this iPhone and I'm not sitting here like counting the pixels and like, oh man, the screen is not 1080p, you know?
Right, but when you put this phone side by side to the iPhone XR, so this is kind of my beef with some of the reviews because you know a lot
including mine, right?
Including yours, yeah, which is very measured, and I think it is a totally fair assessment. It is
I have the iPhone XS here. This is one that I bought myself.
Right, and so when you lay them side by side, I feel like the differences start to appear a little bit more easily. So like that big bezel around the screen, that kind of bugged me a little bit.
But nobody's doing that.
No one's doing that.
Okay,
right.
Nobody's carrying. I mean, maybe some people are carrying 2 iPhones.
Yes.
But most people are not going to sit there like, oh man, the screen technology is not as bright. It's not as vibrant.
Right.
It becomes normal after, like whatever you have becomes normal.
Yes.
After you start using it, and these things stop bothering you after a couple hours. Or
right.
Like I thought this thicker bezel would bother me, but it honestly doesn't. You're looking at the software. You're looking at the content. It doesn't bother you.
Right. And then what about the camera? So the camera was the other big detail that just kind of offended me. I was like, ugh, like why would I pay so much money for a single... I have my iPhone 7 it looks exactly like that. So how is this different? Why is it better?
So this camera is a 12 megapixel camera. It's the same exact main camera as the iPhone XS and XS Max. So you're not getting anything different. The only thing you're not getting is a secondary telephoto lens. Now...
And yeah, why would someone want that? Because I want it just because like I want the best phone available, but maybe that's just me.
Right. So the telephoto lens gets you closer zoom. You won't get digital. I mean, it's not digital zoom, so it's optical zoom. So you're getting sharper images when you zoom in on something.
Got it. Okay.
And it also enables the portrait mode on the iPhone XS and XS Max, and gives you some more like stage lighting effects. But honestly, I own a XS, I own a 10, I own a XS, and I rarely use the telephoto lens. And most people I've talked to who own like an 8 Plus or 7 Plus or any camera or any iPhone with the extra lens, they rarely use it. Unless you're like a serious photographer, you really care about taking photos with your phone, maybe you're a serious Instagrammer, you probably don't care about it and you don't use it.
Right, but isn't it true that so 10...
what's the point of having a feature there
if you don't
for that
use
1% of the time that you might use it just because it's nice to have?
So, well, I guess because it sounds like you would use that for landscape stuff. So if you're traveling, you know, if you're like hiking or I don't know, if you're outdoors in any way, you want to shoot some nice photogenic scenes, I guess you would want the telephoto lens.
Sure.
So then you pay the extra money for the XS. I want that. I want that option, I guess. I shoot a lot of inanimate objects. I feel like I would make use of that. All right, so the other thing is like, isn't it true that the XR, which only has one lens, can still shoot portrait mode?
It still can shoot portrait mode. It does it with one lens. It uses machine learning to identify a person in a frame, so it won't work on pets and it won't work on other objects. And honestly, it does a pretty good job. I mean, I thought it was pretty well done.
Right, and that's like what a lot of people seem to really want out of the new out of the new iPhones, right? Like everyone seems to be obsessed with this portrait mode.
Right.
For people that don't know what that is, can you kind of explain like what portrait mode means?
Portrait mode is basically it shoots a photo that's like a DSLR photo. It blurs out the background, gives you that nice depth of field, nice bokeh in the background. And yeah, I mean, I think this is enough for most people. And honestly, the portrait mode on this is actually better than on 10s and 10s Max.
What?
Because it's wider. The field of view is wider.
Yep.
And the photos are brighter because of the faster aperture. So it's f1.8 versus f2.2 on the 10s and 10s Max. So you're getting better exposed portrait photos. So
okay, so you're saying the camera can definitely hold up in most cases. And if you're looking for that photo that keeps the subject in focus and then like gently blurs the background,
right,
that's portrait mode. You're going to get them in both of the new phones. So
the other really cool feature I really like is the water resistance. Now, it's not quite as water resistant as the iPhone XS and XS Max, which is good for submersion in liquids or water up to 6 feet for 30 minutes. This is only for 3 feet, but still pretty good.
Right.
It survived the rain. And we have a whole bunch of liquids here. It's like beer-proof, it's soda-proof, it's tea-proof, waterproof. And I figured we're here. We got the new iPhone.
Yeah.
Let's, pour some liquids on it.
I'm in, dude. I'm in.
So I brought a basin with me. Here you go.
Excellent.
And I've got the iPhone here. And
I think I just injured
first test I think we should do is, pour some water on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do that. Right there. It's completely submerged now. That's maybe like an inch of water.
Okay.
It's still works. Looks
nice.
good. You definitely want to dry this port out, the lightning port, before charging it up again. So definitely need to dry this out. Put it in a bag of rice if you want. That's maybe the fastest way.
Right.
But it's also beer proof, and I did that test in my review.
Yeah.
So I want you to pour some beer in there.
Sure. We got to crack this thing open.
Yeah. So crack that open.
So okay. So I have a question though. So there's a bunch of open ports on this.
Okay.
Those are notoriously hard to waterproof. Right. Is there any extra consideration you have to give? Like if you're bringing this thing to the pool, if you're bringing it in the shower, or some weird stuff like that. I don't know what people do.
I mean,
with
it should
their
be
phones,
fine as long as you rinse it off with some fresh water.
Yeah.
So there are like little rubber gaskets inside of the device to kind of repel water.
Wow.
So it's not waterproof; it's water resistant. So I mean, I brought some champagne glasses.
Love it, dude. Love it. Okay. All right. Cheers,
man.
Happy iPhone Day. Cheers.
Ooh, oh, that's painful. That's painful to watch. Oh, man,
and I can't even see the phone anymore.
This phone smells terrible, guys.
God, this phone's been through a lot in the past 2 weeks. Jeez.
Okay, I got some other stuff here too. I've got some.
God, it smells terrible, by the way.
I've got some.
We got a lot of aromas right now.
Sparkling water, I guess, right?
Yep, some LaCroix. We can. Sorry. Some sparkling water.
And in it goes.
Wow. Okay.
Now it's been submerged in water, beer, and oh man.
This one smells good. It's like grapefruit, apricot. Okay.
I don't know, man. I also brought some tea.
Some tea.
Here, you dump that in there, pour it all in there.
Okay.
And let's see how it survives. Ugh.
Wow. Well, it looks
disgusting.
It looks gross.
I mean, oh gosh. Oh my god, I can't believe we're doing this to an iPhone. Like,
I know, brand
new iPhone too. Just like we're monsters.
Just desecrating this. Well, a couple of years ago, this would have totally fried your iPhone, right?
Destroyed your iPhone. So, pretty impressive that it survives. And in a couple hours, we'll be able to charge it. 5 hours to be exact.
Nice. So it's waterproof. It takes the type of photos that everyone seems to want, which is the portrait effect photos. You said the screen is basically, it's hard to tell the difference if you're not looking at it.
It's every bit as powerful as the XS. It has the same A12 Bionic chip. Honestly, for $750, I think it's a great value, especially if you're locked into the iPhone ecosystem or you're into iMessage. It's still the fastest phone on the planet, faster than any Android device by miles.
Wow.
And yeah, if you're looking for a new iPhone, you want some options of colors, 6 different colors. I think this is a phone for everybody.
Right.
If you really want those advanced features, you really care about photography, you want the better display, you want the bigger screen on the XS Max maybe, you're gonna have to pay $1,000 or more.
Awesome.
Those devices. So.
Well, Ray, thanks so much for running over this with us. Everyone, be sure to check out Ray's full review on Mashable.com right now. This is the iPhone XR.
Chug all this.
We're gonna
He's
pass
gonna
around
chug-
this
he's gonna chug
chalice,
it.
and we will see you next time on Technically Speaking. Cheers.
You actually drank it? Did you actually drink it? Oh my god, why would you do that?